everyone, this is Naomi and welcome back to Naomi's Bookshelf. I am here today with my Reading Rush wrap-up. This month I've read a lot of books and I don't want to talk about them all in one video, so I'm going to do a Reading Rush wrap-up. But also this last week I managed to read several classics, which I talked about in my classics wrap-up. So I'll link that below if you want to find out more thoughts about those ones. But I'll let you know as they come along and I'll give you a brief summary of the books that I read that are classics. So, for the first of all, I read 9 books, or I finished 9 books during the Reading Rush, so that was a total of 2,141 pages I believe I read, which is kind of crazy. Didn't really expect that to happen, but I just finished my books early, and then I was like finishing some up right at the end, or before the readathon really started off on Monday morning, so just worked out that way. So we'll go in order that I read them. The first book that I finished was The Hobbit. So I finished this off on Monday morning. I gave my thoughts on it in my classics wrap-up, but this is a really good one. It's about Bilbo Baggins, who joins a band of dwarves and tries to basically help them in any way that he can. And it was very, very good. I really loved it. The next book that I read was actually one that I had been reading all month long as a buddy read, and I was glad to finish it off during the week. And it was meant for my movie or book to movie adaptation, but I didn't end up watching it because I just didn't feel in the mood. And that is The Book Thief. This book was so good. I couldn't believe how powerful it was, how the narrator's voice felt to me. I just was immersed in this book. Also for the Book Junkie Trials, this counted as my world building book for the 3rd step on my path, or actually my 4th book on my scribe's path. But yeah, it was just so immersive and I couldn't believe I never had read it before. I understand why everyone says you have to read The Book Thief if you want to read like World War II historical fiction. This is a really, really good one. Maybe not the best I've ever read, but definitely one of the best, and I couldn't find any flaws, and I had to give it 5 stars. Basically, if you haven't read this or don't know the story of this, it's about this girl named Liesel who is a foster child to a couple in Germany, in one of the smaller towns there, and she's kind of brought there, and her brother along the way dies as they're going to this house. And so the whole point of view is told from Death's perspective. And so Death sees her with her brother, and then he sees that she steals a book, and then that's where she becomes the book thief in a way, but she doesn't realize it. She steals more books along the path, along her life's journey. And it's interesting how Death's perspective is told in this, and how it doesn't like not criminalize, evil, make everyone evil that are Germans, because this is set in Germany. I felt like I was in Nazi Germany, and you really feel for all of them, for like Liesel, for Rosa, for Hans, for Max, for Rudy. It really makes you really get invested. And the way it tells things like, oh, and he's going to die this afternoon, and you're like, what? Don't break my heart now, we aren't there yet. And then you just wait for it. So really good. Really recommend, and I totally gave it 5 stars. I would have given it 6 if I could. The next book that I finished, I think, was Northanger Abbey. Oops. The next book that I finished was Northanger Abbey. I also talked about it in my my classics wrap-up, and I really enjoyed this. Gave it 4 stars, and I think it's quite a good one if you want to read any gothic, kind of spookier, but also Jane Austen. So the next 2 I read I don't have physical copies of, as they're library books and I've already returned them. So the first one was Stardust. I'll put it up here. And that one was for my book with actually, I'll go back to Northanger Abbey for a second. This one, it was my copy for an author's first novel, as it was Jane Austen's first written work, even though it was last published. So, on to Stardust. This one was my non-human main character, as she is a star. I really didn't like it. I felt like it just didn't sit well with me, And I have discovered something since reading Stardust, or while I was reading it, I realized I don't really like Neil Gaiman's work. And I feel like I'm very much in the minority of this. I know that many people love his writing style and his creative thoughts. And like I read The Ocean at the End of the Lane and I thought it was really good, but nothing connected with me, if that makes sense. And then reading Stardust, I really didn't care about anyone in the book. I really didn't care about any of the characters or any of the plots, and I felt like a lot of it was like rabbit trails, like you just kind of went this way and then this way and that way and that way, and I just didn't connect. I honestly probably sped read my way through the audiobook of it quite a lot, and mindlessly missed out parts because I just didn't care, and I ended up giving it 2 stars. It was, for me, I'll probably do another whole video about how I rate books, but for me, a 1 is an awful book, a 2 is a meh book, and I definitely felt meh about it, so it's a 2. The next book I read was Dealing with Dragons by Patricia Red, and in it discover you follow this princess who doesn't want to be a princess, or she wants to be a princess but she doesn't like want to do the princessly duties because it's not proper. She wants to go sword fighting, she wants to learn Latin, she wants to be a magician, and her family's like, no, it's not proper, you need to learn how to embroider, you need to learn how to curtsy, you need to learn da 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 da, and she just doesn't like it. So one day she runs away and she basically comes across dragons and she is taken in and becomes a dragon's princess. And it's about her adventures as the dragon's princess and how she does not like leaving. She does not want to leave. She does not want to be rescued. She wants to be there, and it's really good. I really enjoyed it. It's the first in a series and I don't know if I'll continue. But if I need to pick up another dragon book, I will be picking up more from this series, I guarantee you. So if you want to know a comparison to it, I would say that Gail Carson Levine is a very good comparison. So if you were like her writing style or fairy tale style with the different fairy tale reinterpretations, I would pick up Dealing with Dragons because it is very close to this, at least in philosophy and creativeness, I think. It's not the same writing style exactly, and it's not the same plot, but it definitely felt like a cousin, if that makes sense. The next book that I read, actually, Dealing with Dragons, I keep forgetting, was my book I read in one place. I sat on the couch at my workplace during my lunch break and I read it a whole time there, which was really annoying because I wanted to read it when I went home too. The next book was The Thief of Corinth by Tessa Afshar, I think it's Afshar, and this was a book I meant to read last year. Now, Tessa Afshar is a really creative biblical fiction writer. I really enjoy the way she takes a look at a Bible story and takes it and then embellishes in a way but doesn't take away from the original story. It was very well done. I really thought it was creative. It's about Paul and Corinth in that time period, but it's also just about Corinth in general. Now, for me, I find that her New Testament work is not as strong with me as her Old Testament work is, but I also do really love basically anything she puts out. So I'm really glad I finally read this. It's about this girl, Adrienne, who is growing up without, in an abusive home with her mother and her grandfather, and she basically runs away from there to Corinth, from Athens to Corinth with her foster brother, and runs away to her father, and then life happens. I don't want to give too much away because I feel like the title is great, but I feel like it kind of gives away the plot as well as the back. But yeah, it was very, very good. I enjoyed the love triangle, as it wasn't too bad, and then I also really enjoyed how it showed Paul and the miracles that were happening, as well as Priscilla and Aquila were in here. And that's something she does quite often. She actually takes biblical figures and puts them in a situation which probably could have happened or did happen in some ways. And so I thought this was really well done, and I gave it 5 stars, I believe. It did lag a little in the middle, but I still thought it was really, really good. The next one I read is Betsy and the Great World, which was to read a book with 5 words or more in the title. And I talked about that in my classics wrap-up, so I'll direct you there too, but it's basically about Betsy as she goes to Germany. This is book 8 in the series, I believe, so I can't tell you too much without going into a lot of backstory, but basically it's rivals Little House on the Prairie for childhood classic, and if you haven't read it, you should try the series at the very least. The next book that I read was Lock Every Door by Riley Sagar, and I was blown away. I don't know how he can do it, but he seems to be perfect at writing a good book. I don't like, it's just the way I like a story, and as I was reading it I was engrossed, and then I kept reading it and I kind of figured out some of the plot points, but I was like, when the big reveal happened, I was blown away and I was shocked, and I could not wait. I was like, can there be a sequel? I need to know more. And I don't think there's gonna be a sequel, but I wish there was, because it was very good. I want to tell you a bit about it, but not too much. Basically, it's about this girl who, she's 25, she's as broke as anything, she doesn't have a place to live, and she's about to be homeless because of that, aside from couch surfing on her friends, and so she's offered this position where she applies to be an apartment sitter. And at the apartment they have these rules, and she's going to be paid $1,000 every 5 days if she toughs it out, basically. And so that's what she's like, okay, sure. And it's like, you know, she gets to live in this nice apartment, beautiful place. What's the hardship? So the rules are no visitors ever, no, you can't spend a night away from your apartment, and no talking to any of the other residents. How it goes. And so she kind of has a few things, and she meets one of the other apartment sitters named Ingrid, who she's also there, but she's also thinking something spooky. And then slowly Jules is the girl who's apartment sitting, and the main character, she is there, like, and she's feeling a little creepy about it. But then also between like a bunch of chapters, so you'll have like chapter whatever to whatever, and then you'll have a flash forward to when she's telling the story, and like the first thing is like, I escaped from the Bartholomew, I'm free, you ran into front of a car because you tried to get away, and she's like, I'm free, don't send me back to the Bartholomew, which is the apartment building. And it's like, what just happened? It was very good, it was very suspenseful, it was very much, from what I understand, of like American Horror Story, the hotel one maybe, I think. I don't really know, but I know it's creepy, and it hooked me from the beginning, basically. So I read it in an afternoon. Really recommend it if you're into those kind of mysteries and the slower build, which I love. So yeah, really, really recommend. 5 stars. I don't think it's better than Last Time I Lied, but they're pretty like tied for first of his 3 books that I've read. So the last book that I read that wasn't for any prompt, actually, Lock Every Door is purple on the cover. The last book that I read was A Beautiful Blue Death by Charles Finch. Now, I didn't mean to read it for the readathon, it just kind of happened, and I was really glad that I did. Basically, it's about this Victorian era where this man is like, he's, I think, a lord, maybe not, but he's gentry or nobility of some form, and he is kind of just taking on cases that people are looking for help in. So he comes across this case from one of his friends, Lady Jane, who one of her former servants has died, and she's convinced it was murder. So they go and look at the body, and then they discover that's the wrong kind of poison. And it's an expensive poison. And that's kind of where the whole story takes off, where obviously it's a murder, but who done it, why, and all these things. And it goes way deeper. And I thought it was great. It was very Agatha Christie reminiscent. It was very Agatha Christie-like, and I definitely was feeling like I was in reading an Agatha Christie kind of style of book. I am so excited to pick up the next one of the book. And also, about A Beautiful Blue Death, it did the friendship of Jane and Charles, who's the main character, the detective, really well. I really was like, this can go into romance or it can stay at friendship, and I'll be happy either way because of just how good it was. And I think, and it's definitely going towards romance by the end of it, but halfway through I was like, you know what, they could be friends forever and I'd just be fine with that because I loved the friendship dynamic. So yeah, really recommend that series if you're wanting, or recommend the first book. I got my first recommendations for it by Cozy Reader Kelly, and I am very glad I picked it up, and I will have to pick up the next one as well as soon as I can. So those are the books that I read during the reading rush. I fulfilled all the prompts, even though I read 2 extra books, and I feel really proud of myself. I don't know how exactly it happened, but I really prioritized my reading this week, and I'm really glad I did. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you had a good reading rush as well. Please let me know how much you read during the reading rush, and if you are interested in any of these books, I can give you more information if you want, but I also just love talking about these books because some of them are real great. Aside from Stardust, everything got a 4-star or more, and that's just a really good book, a really good week in general, in my opinion. So I'll see you next time. Bye.